Playing small and settling for a life less than what you are capable of isn't a life worth living. To become a successful entrepreneur, it takes grit, stamina, determination, and perseverance. The journey might be bewildering, but the view from the top is extraordinary. My name is Heneka Watkis-Porter, and this is the Entrepreneurial You. Follow me as we delve into a story of love, travel, and business. As we welcome you back from a promising business, here's a quick tip. It's never too late to become what you've always wanted to be. The truth is, the journey of 1,000 miles, believe me, it begins with the first step. So don't you ever discount the value of little by little. Have you heard about the compound effect? Yeah, definitely. Little by little does it all the time. The Entrepreneurial You follows the life of a flower that budded well beyond our shores, crossed into another continent before finally blossoming in the Caribbean. Led by passion for nature and knowledge, I have the honor of having her as a guest, Rita Hilton. Welcome. But before we get into your travels and business, what's the one thing most people don't know about you?
I'm not sure what they don't know about me. I think it's mostly where I come from. The accent betrays me.
The accent betrays you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
In how so? Because they think it's from, where do they think it's from?
They think it's from Trinidad or from Guyana because, you know, it has a little lilt in it, and I haven't been able to hide that.
Okay. Well, no, tell us exactly where you came from.
Well, I was born in Mombasa, which is the port for the East African territories, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And I grew up there and I went to school there. And when I finished school, I had a very enterprising, innovative headmaster who thought that I should have a scholarship. I was a real prodigy and a bit of a rebel. And so we applied for a scholarship and I got into University of Edinburgh in Scotland at a very young age. I was just 16 when I finished high school and 17 when I entered university. And I had 4 wonderful years in Edinburgh and then another year in London doing a teaching diploma. Yes, so that was my background in education.
So you have been crossing, you left from Kenya,
Yes.
You went to Scotland and then to the UK.
Yes.
So what brought you to Jamaica?
Well, I met a lot of students in Edinburgh, and it was really a cross-culture from all parts of the world. It had a very large number of overseas students. And in there, I met a Jamaican. And the friendship grew and grew until eventually I joined him in Jamaica.
Ah, so it was love that brought you here.
Absolutely.
Ah.
Absolutely. Yes.
You want to tell us a little bit about that because I see you blushing and all of that. Like it's an interesting story there. Please do tell us a little.
When you feel love at the age of 17 or 18, it's very different from your later years. And yeah, there were a lot of sparks, believe me. It was just a different culture. It was a different experience. You know, I grew up in a very sheltered Asian background and coming from a lot of discrimination in Kenya where every kind of race had its own boundaries defined. Coming into this cosmopolitan atmosphere was so different for me. And meeting my first husband was just an amazing experience. There were a lot of barriers to cross. There was race, there was religion, there was culture. It wasn't an easy journey or an easy decision to make. But after having been away from my sweetheart for a year, he invited me to come to Jamaica for a vacation and see if we still felt the same way. I never went back.
Ah.
I never went
You
back.
never went back, and you've been here since then. I know you've been running your business for a long time. Tell us how you got into business to begin with.
Well, my main profession was teaching, and that I absolutely loved. It was my first love. It still is my love. And I taught high school for almost 17 years, a year in Kenya and 16 years here in Jamaica. Loved it. I took my students all over the island. I got my license to drive the school bus, which was quite innovative at that time. And every long weekend we went and visited different parts of Jamaica. I even had the experience with other teachers at St. Hugh's High School, putting 120 kids on the train at Pigeon Street and taking them all the way to Port Antonio on a picnic. And the idea was that we would be able to approach the love of Jamaica from different angles, whether it was English, whether it was geography, whether it was history, the windmills, the tunnels, the rivers, the ocean. And it was just an amazing experience, not only for the kids, but for us. And so we had a wonderful headmistress who, said to us, there are no boundaries. Finish the syllabus in whichever way you want. And it was so creative and such a wonderful approach to education. And I just love that. And I still meet students from those years that have this love of the environment and the atmosphere of Jamaica. And that is what I was very passionate about. I love the countryside. I love the environment. I think that Jamaica is so gifted in the environment and the climate. And I'm still passionate about that. How did I get into my business? I went into banking, which I did not like at all. I found it very boring. I was watching the clock all the time. And I think part of it was the kind of training that at that time wasn't pushing me to any boundaries. And eventually I ended up looking at other opportunities. My kids were growing up and were getting ready to go to university. And the thing is that on a teaching profession, and my husband was a civil servant at the time, there wasn't enough money to send them all to school. And so that motivated me to look at other opportunities. And in that time span between leaving teaching and going into my business, I had some experience of working with local businesses. That didn't work out too well. And so I think I was just too independent and too much of a rebel, to settle down into a routine. And so I got a call from a friend in New York and said, I need some Scotch bonnet peppers. Can you ship them to me? That was the start. My first shipment was Scotch bonnet peppers to New York. And being us not knowing anything about business, not knowing anything about customs and documents and shipping documents, I jumped into it. I quickly went to all the areas I needed to and started looking at how to get and maneuver and manipulate through all those facets of shipping and expanding and meeting with farmers and getting products. So that was the start. The motivation was getting my kids to school and getting them into higher education. I came from a background that if you educate somebody, you lift them out of certain levels and you give them more opportunities, you give them a chance to expose them. So all three kids went to university and have pursued their own professions successfully.
Wow.
So I'm so happy.
Wow, I'm happy for you too. So somebody wanted a shipment of pepper and you were able to export, and there began your journey. Now let's talk about the name first of all. How did that come about?
Okay, so when we started the company, we called it Marketing Developments. And there was a lot of confusion that we were a marketing company, not an export company. So in 2011, we decided to change the emphasis, and we were looking for a name, and we wanted to have a Caribbean flavor. So we took Caribbean Rita and made Carita.
Ah, Caribbean Rita, Carita.
That's how Carita came about. So it's really a short form of Caribbean Rita.
Absolutely. That's such an interesting story. And you've always been, as far back as I can remember, very enthusiastic, very passionate. I remember we first met at NCB, on the set of NCB Capital Quest, where you, like, everybody just were just amazed at the energy and the passion that you brought. I mean, it made us feel like we weren't even trying. You know, over the years, you would have encountered, I'm sure, you know, challenges, but yet you maintain this passion for business. You're so driven, always driven and motivated and inspirational to all of us, you know. What were some of those challenges that you would have encountered as you started your business?
I think it was like jumping into business, not really knowing about business, that it was really quite a lot of hurdles to overcome. And at that time, the export business, you had to go through about 10 or 15 different places to get your shipment out of the country. Whether it was by sea, whether it was by air, it was learning how to maneuver through all of that. And everything had to be done by me because it was very small. There were 2 other people in the business. And so that was a challenge. The other challenge was being female and the access to finance. And eventually, in later years, also it was my age. You know, how do we invest with you? You're too old. How do we know the business will last? And so it was not only gender issues, it was also my age. And so it was not easy in that sense. But, you know, I think my forte is to be able to communicate with my customers, to be able to respond in time. And I think that's where I've built the legacy up, because we have very good, solid customers now. One of the challenges too is because we're only into exports. We don't do we had a brief foray into local distribution and gave that up. It didn't work out well for us because this is a limited market and where the opportunities are so global and so large. So we had some missteps because we had some customers that were not referred to us, were not paying, you couldn't collect, and so that was some setbacks. There were also some setbacks in terms of there was a period where the yams were developing some kind of disease. And one of the challenges is that we don't have labs where you can take something to be tested and say, I need a remedy. And a lot of the countries where agriculture is prominent, the prominent activity to lift the country out of poverty or for food security, you have institutions where you can get quick responses. What chemical do I use? What is affecting this product? How do I overcome it? So these are many challenges in Jamaica. We don't have enough cold chain technology, keeping the product cold from the time you reap, taking out the field heat. So there's a lot of food wastage. And so there are many opportunities in Jamaica at different stages from farm to customer. There are many different stages where there are opportunities if people are serious and committed to farming and to agricultural sector. Agriculture is the one sector that can lift this country out of poverty. And I am so passionate about that. I want to see that happen. I want to see young people have opportunities. I want to see them realize their dreams.
We're talking with Rita about Carita. She is the founder and CEO. We'll continue this discussion right after we take a look at what's trending.
Internet connectivity powers the world, and every day the aim is to create faster means of working across the web. Searches that have taken Jamaica beyond the clouds and into extraterrestrial airspaces to satellite internet. Whether you're in the hills of the Blue Mountains or on the bustling plains anywhere else on the island, satellite internet promises consistent connectivity and low latency. As it is now, Jamaica has one single source of satellite internet, providing service to residential and commercial customers. It provides speed up to 100 megabytes per second and latency as low as 28 milliseconds. This is significantly faster than the speed offered by traditional wired services, making it ideal for streaming content, online gaming, and other data-intensive activities. Are you thinking about a camping trip or hosting a party? Satellite internet is mobile, and the more elevated your location, the better the connection. Many are hopping onto this trend.
That was What's Trending in Business. Welcome back to the Entrepreneurial You. With me is CEO of Carita, Rita Hilton. Now, before the break, Rita, you spoke about some of the many challenges that you encountered as you embarked on business. I want us to zone in a little on that of age. How did you navigate that? What were some of those, specific things that you had to deal with regarding your age?
I think it dealt mainly with finance, access to finance. And it took, I think, a woman, a bank manager, who listened to me and heard my story and also showed me how to navigate the crisis that I was going through. And I really owe a lot to her. And from that point, we were fine, but it took the understanding of a female to navigate and put me on that path. But basically it was that, how do we know? It's just a numbers game. You have to show us the numbers and that's it, I don't think that in terms of the agri sector, there's enough understanding about how that sector works. Let me give you an example. For example, during COVID, shipping lines, the airlines stopped. You could not move your fragile cargo, right? But what happened is that the tubers and the harder foods increased dramatically. And to get that cash flow moving, because now instead of doing 1,000 kilos, you're doing 20,000 kilos of produce. So you really needed to get that cash flow moving. And our revenues jumped phenomenally in that time. Fortunately, we had a buyer who was giving us large deposits on pre-shipping, and that enabled us to get into that picture. But when you have disruptions in the shipping and in the airlines particularly, your business is not going to flourish in the way, or you can make the projections, but you can't reach it because of that. So there's no real understanding about these fluctuations in the banking sector and how you navigate them. People are not really listening. They want their numbers to show to their superiors that they're making it, their clients are making it. It's a numbers game. It's not easy. It's difficult.
So what you're saying is that it actually took empathy on the part of somebody else to, go into your shoe, understand what it is that you're going through, and to render assistance.
Yes.
In other words, we can't do anything on our own. We need each other.
Yes.
Right? And I'm sure that's a very poignant lesson there. Let's talk about capital for the export business. How capital intensive is this business? I mean, you're completely in export. You're not dealing with the local market at all. First of all, why have you made that decision? And then how capital intensive is the export business?
We made that decision because the local market is restricted. It's 2.5 or 3 million people. You have huge players in there with well-established brands. You have a Grace, you have Lasco, you have Gettys Grant, you have Seprod. These big companies have the budgets to market, to push, to promote. We didn't have that. And when we went to one of the companies to do that, we found that we failed miserably. We just didn't have the budget to support those kinds of, and we didn't have the knowledge either, right? Being a small company, we couldn't devote one person to branding and promotion. Most people in the company have to multitask, and we just failed miserably. The effort that it took to try and move the product into the consciousness, we decided it wasn't worth it. We were known abroad for our products, for our quality, for our responsiveness, and so we decided to pull out of the local market. Right?
So outside of your first export customer, pepper,
Yes.
how did you find other customers to grow your business?
Mainly referrals, word of mouth, and we have not done, and going to trade shows, going to presenting the products there in an innovative way. But I have to tell you, we have far more demand, and the cash flow is still a struggle to meet that demand. There are so many opportunities we are missing because we're not strong in the cash flow. We have had setbacks, COVID, we had setbacks with the yams, we had setbacks with customers who did not pay, right? So it's a struggle, and it saddens me because we're missing a potential for the market has lots of gaps that we could fill, and we're not able to. Yeah.
What would it take to strengthen your cash flow? What
Well,
would that
I'm looking
require?
for an investor right now. I want a partner who understands what we're driving at, what we want to build, where the opportunities are. Because I want to add value to Jamaican product. We must stop shipping raw materials. We must stop shipping yellow yam in huge chunks. We need to peel it, we need to slice it, we need to boil it, we need to freeze it, we need to vacuum pack it. So that if you're traveling abroad, you're a business person, you are a consultant, and you want a taste of home. You don't want to go peel a piece of yam. Even when you're in Jamaica, everybody's busy. And the men or the women want to do a home-cooked meal. It should be easy. It should be easy. And you're adding value. You're giving more value to the farmer. You know, why are we shipping turmeric in the raw state, and then we're importing turmeric pills and turmeric paste at vastly inflated prices? We shouldn't be doing that. That's a colonial mentality, and we must get away from that. We must bring value to Jamaican products. We must be making our own teas. We must be making our own flour. Look at breadfruit. How much of it goes to waste? We cannot collect it. We don't have orchards. We are sitting on the edge of our 4th year of the mango harvest. I'm getting phone calls daily. When are the mango harvests going to start? When are they going to start? The barriers to that are incredible. And we don't have the orchards. We're talking about it for 5 years, and we have no orchards. We still don't have any orchards. Yeah, we talk, and we don't implement, right? And other countries are establishing orchards. Hawaii has acres under breadfruit. Uganda is putting orchards. Kenya is putting orchards from donations of trees, because this breadfruit is a product that can save the world from starvation. It's gluten-free, it's full of nutrients, it can be used in a multitude of ways. In Jamaica, we just roast it, fry it, or boil it in soup. It can make flour, it can do salads, it can do chips, it can do so many things, it can make drinks. You can do all kinds of things. Yes, breadfruit punch, wonderful things. So there's not only that, we have wonderful sweet potatoes in Jamaica. They are unique, they're not like the North American potatoes, and we need to get that out in terms of flour, in terms of pre-cooked, in terms of chips, in terms of all kinds of things. So we need investors, we need venture capital to bring these products to fruition. My time is short, and I'm hoping the challenge will be taken up by all the young entrepreneurs coming up.
We're going to take a break right there, and we want to come back to address that issue that you just mentioned. But this is a good time to take a look at our JPS Spark.
It's now time for our Spark, powered by JPS.
We can't be sure of what tomorrow will look like, but when we put in the work, we can shape it. We can light the way and build our own path to make tomorrow even brighter. Because one thing's for certain, tomorrow will come. That's why we're investing in world-class technology, building new plants, and upgrading our systems. We know that the best hope for our children and their children is the work we do now to create the innovative, cutting-edge, clean Jamaica of the future. A Jamaica that works for Jamaicans. A Jamaica powered by hope. Today, tomorrow, forever.
Get smart strips. Check out those appliances that still have a light on even when they are turned off. It means they are still using electricity. Plug these appliances into smart power strips and save money. Smart power strips cut off phantom power when any device is off. And yes, helps you to conserve energy.
That was our Spark, powered by JPS.
Welcome back to the Entrepreneurial You. Now, Rita, I want to zone in again on your age. And I'm staying here because there are so many lessons to be learned from what you are sharing. And just not only that, just looking at your resilience and your stick-to-itiveness to be in business over all these years up to this point. Now, how did you, develop yourself? I know you're big on Action Coach, for example, so I want you to take me a little through that, and then we're going to move into succession planning.
Well, I read a lot, and I think that's important to open up your mind. I'm also reading a lot of Darren Hardy's books, and I do the daily broadcast. So that gives me the opens my mind to possibilities and to how I want to train my people who come into my sphere. I also share a lot of knowledge that I have because I want to make sure, people say, oh, I want to go into exports, can you help me? And I do share because, knowledge is there. I don't want it to get lost. And I want people to continue without making some of the mistakes that I made, So I do share my knowledge in that sense. Yes, I'm getting on in age. I don't know where the years went, Heneka. I've been so caught up in what I do, and suddenly I find I'm going to be 83 years next month. And I'm saying, where did that time go? And it went. Raising children, getting involved in all their activities, making sure I'm there for all their wonderful dates, graduations, marriages, whatever it is, and being present with them too. And the years just have flown by. I never thought that I would reach this age. It seems so remote when you're growing up, when you're in your 40s. When you're in your 20s, 40 seems like the end of the tunnel. And then when you get 40, 60s, and I'm there, I got to 80. I'm going to be 83 in April. And I'm saying, how did I get here? But it's been a good journey. It hasn't been an easy journey, but it has been very rewarding for me, and I think also for people that I've come in touch with. And I get calls. You were asking me one time, how do you get your customers? I don't get customers, they get me. So
When I grow up, that's what I want.
so it's been rewarding in that sense. And we only now respond to paying customers. You pay us and we'll continue to ship.
As it should be.
Yes, we can't take those heartaches anymore. Yeah. But one of the biggest challenges is getting consistent supplies and motivating people, especially in the farming sector, to be able to supply us consistently and to see that vision of what we want to achieve together as a partnership. And I keep saying to my farmers, grow as much pepper as you can. We can ship them fresh, we can put them into mash, we can dry them, we can use them to do shake with salt, shakers into a rub, a seasoning. There's so many possibilities. Don't hold yourself back in terms of production, but always make sure you have a market. Do not just produce in the hope that you will have a market. Always tie yourself to a market, whether it is local, whether it's export, and make sure that that market will satisfy your needs. So it has to be a partnership and a chain from the ground to the table. And one of the things that bothers me is the amount of food waste and food security. We need to use the right chemicals, we need to use them, we need to keep records too. It's not just chuck something and put a seed in and watch it grow and reap it. And if you want to see a bug, you add a little more cocktail to it to kill it. So you're poisoning the food, you know. So we need to be aware of all those things. And what is coming, the whole world wants food safety. So we have to keep records. We have to use the environment wisely. We have to make sure the food we produce is healthy to our bodies and to our needs. You know, Jamaica is so unique that we have this year-round growing season. We have the climatic and microclimatic conditions that give our food a unique taste and flavor. Even when people who take our seeds, Scotch bonnet seeds, and plant them in the States, it's not the same. You might get this flavor, you don't get the heat. Or you might get the heat and not the flavor. So yellow yam, they took it and went to Costa Rica to plant it. Discerning Jamaicans know the difference, although they pack it in Jamaican boxes to try and pass it off as a Jamaican product. They know the difference, the color, the texture, the taste, it's different, you know. So we have something unique. We need to invest. We need to capitalize on what is ours. And don't worry about doing everything. Do what we do best, right? And focus on that.
Do what we do best and focus on that. Such wealth of knowledge and passion. Are you grooming anyone to take over?
Well, there are two of my kids who would like to come and take the business over, but they have young families, and so that is a bit, I think some of them, well, two of them are working from abroad and hoping to invest more time, you know, but I want to find an investor who is as passionate about how I feel about to pass on the legacy. I wouldn't like to see it lost. I wouldn't like to see it lost.
So much invested in terms of your years, your time, your energy, your drive, everything. What keeps you going daily?
I think my faith in life. It's a good God. We don't give gratitude. I've had a good life. I wouldn't say I don't drive a Porsche. I drive a pickup because it's practical and it's easy. It gets me where I'm going. I don't count material possessions. I think I would like to spend more time in my community, especially in my church, and to get people focused more on loving each other, on helping each other. And so I'm very involved with that part of my life. I also am now working with an NGO in the States to bring a community center into Seaford Town to highlight the German influence in Seaford Town and what it did to the people, as well as a training facility for the care of the elderly. That's hard in Jamaica, especially if you don't have the funds. And I find that a lot of old people have a hard time in Jamaica, you know. And so the care of the elderly, training in that, training in skills like plumbing. Can you find a good plumber? It's so hard to find a good plumber.
Find a good, any tradesman, anything.
So I think those skills, it's not just going to university and being a doctor or a lawyer. Those things are filled, right? The need is down for the quality of life. And that's what I want in this training facility, to improve the quality of life, stop the drift to the towns, find people investing in their community and community lives.
Mm-hmm. How would you define success, and do you see yourself as successful?
I think I'm successful in some areas. I still am wanting in others. How do I define? A successful life is one that fills you with joy in giving to others, and your family, of holding your family structure together and giving a reason for living to the people around you, whether it's family or whether it's community. To me, that is what success is, right? And I found that recently. We had a church harvest in my community in Seaford Town. And the person who was the leader of the group had migrated for different reasons. And I jumped in, and I was able to motivate. I mean, look at my age now. I'm motivating young people to say, I need this from you, I need this from you, I need this from you, and can we do a successful? And we had a wonderful harvest and a wonderful spirit. And that is what I want, the spirit, the kind of spiritual growth and thing of pulling community and family together. For me, what gives me a lot of joy is meeting and having a few friends around me, a nice glass of wine, and a fabulous meal only on Jamaican food, cooked to perfection.
We take our final break, and when we return, Rita shares with us the most important piece of advice she received and how it shaped her journey.
Managing your company's finances remotely is now more important than ever. With Scotia Online for Business, you can safely and quickly conduct your transactions and save on costs. Accept payments, transfer funds including third-party and wire transfers, view balances and download statements, pay bills and credit cards, make supplier payments, manage payroll, and purchase foreign exchange. Let us handle the way your business does business. Speak with a Scotia representative today. Call 888-429-5087 or email bnsj.businessbanking@scotiabank.com.
As a business owner, we encourage you to have a structured approach around sales and operating expenses. Analyze month after month what can be done better in order to improve your revenue and decrease expenses.
We're just coming back from our imaginary glass of wine. Cheers, Rita. All right, so we want to know, what's that piece of advice that you got that has shaped your life when you were younger?
I think that one of the turning points in my life was when my first marriage broke up, and I couldn't let it go. I couldn't let it go. I grieved for about 3 years. I mean, my life didn't stop still. I was still going on with my business and so on. But it was hard. It was really hard. And my mom, whose marriage was arranged, and I never heard mom and dad quarrel ever. I'm not saying they didn't, but was never in front of us. And when I was coming to Jamaica, she said to me, "Where are you going? You don't know the people. You don't have any family. What will you do if things go wrong?" And I said, "Oh, that'll never go wrong. I'm in love. He'll never let me down. I'll be fine." And you know, she turned around to me when I was grieving and she said, "He's gone out of your life. You need to let it go." And this is a woman where divorce was not talked about, where marriage was arranged. And you know, Heneka, I've lived to welcome my ex-husband and his wife into my home because he's the father of my children. And we have a good relationship together. Again, but it meant that my children, my daughter, and one daughter particularly was affected, could let go. And you know, there was healing. And sometimes when we face challenges, which we feel so overwhelmed by, we need to have someone reach out and say, "Let it go. Let it go," and peace within you. And I think that was a great healing process for me. So
let's connect that letting go to entrepreneurship. When do you know, or when should you let go from a business that's not working?
I think you know deep down it's to make that right decision at the right time. And we all face that there are things that we can go back and say we should have, but we need to use that as a learning experience for the next one, right? It is the customer is not talking to you, the shipments are not that are being received are being critiqued, and you're not getting payment, you don't make another shipment. You need to let it go until that customer comes back to you and say, make good. And I've had that experience. So what they say in Jamaica, what is for you will come back to you.
Yeah, what for you can be unfair.
Yes, right? So that thing. And also, you know how you have another saying in Jamaica, one man cocoa, full basket? It will happen. Sometimes you have to leap, but sometimes you have to take that pace and make sure you put the steps in place. Right?
Sometimes you have to make that leap, make sure you put the steps in place. That's wise thoughts, really, really wise thoughts. Well, we've had some wise thoughts, some very poignant lessons from our guest, Rita Hilton, founder and CEO of Carita Jamaica Limited. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. I was inspired. I am constantly inspired by you, and I want to say thank you. Thank you for putting yourself out there so that other entrepreneurs, particularly women, can recognize that it is possible.
I am Tajay Mohan, a serial entrepreneur from cool Manchester. Clickaway is Jamaica's first digital platform that connects customers who need specific services to the professionals who offer these services. Our system is not just as a directory. We allow customers to locate their professional, communicate with their professional, view profiles, book, pay, and even leave a review on their professional. After a customer pays for their services, the funds is held by us and only paid over to the professional after you or customers are satisfied. Clickaway's vision is to become the leading on-demand service provider in the Caribbean and international market by offering our broad range of services to individuals and businesses. To support our vision, we need you to download our mobile app from the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, check out our website, follow us on social media platforms, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook at ClickawayJA. Thank you and have a blessed day. And remember, whatever you need is only a click away.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today. Never forget, the next Entrepreneurial You could be you.
A big thank you to all our sponsors, JPS, JCIF, Bluesick Media, Hope Royal Botanic Gardens, celebrating 150 years of beautifying Jamaica, Scotiabank, Madison Chai, Max's Department Stores, and Sweetness and Things.